Hi everybody, it's Sarah from Socially Shared, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by Tracey from Surviving Bereavement. Hi there, Tracey.
Hi there, Sarah. Lovely to be here.
Oh, super. So, Surviving Bereavement, even the two words themselves, they're sensitive, and they're a topic that sometimes might be a bit difficult to talk about. But perhaps you could tell us what Surviving Bereavement is all about, please.
It's the one thing in life which is the sure thing, is that we're all going to die, and sadly we're going to lose loved ones. The things, what I wanted to put in place with Surviving Bereavement is all the things that weren't in place when I lost my husband 15 years ago. He was actually a lawyer, so you would have thought that things like practical paperwork, etc., would have been in order, but it wasn't the case. So you find yourself in a situation where your whole world is turned upside down, and suddenly you're surrounded by not only grief but also practical issues that you have to deal with. So with Surviving Bereavement, what we're putting together is that support network, so that we provide legal advice, we provide financial advice, and most importantly, we provide advice on how to take care of yourself through mindfulness and things that weren't discussed 15 years ago. I mean, thankfully I did a lot of the things. I used to go out walking, and that was my time out. And actually now it is called mindfulness, a lot of what I was doing then. I think the problem is at the moment the same as being in a pandemic. There's an awful lot of people that need this support, but sadly it's the one thing we can't give is the face to face. Everybody needs a hug, and it's the one thing we can't offer at the moment. We used to, a year ago when we started, we did face to face meetings, and that was great. Having done some radio interviews recently, I found out there's a lot of people that don't actually have computers, use computers, and they're the ones that are really isolated out there. So at the moment we are trying to do it by Zoom, but and people can contact me via telephone, via email, or whatever way. I think for me the most practical thing we've been doing at the moment is our memory boxes, and they're specified for each child or each young adult. And I mean, sadly, a recent one I had this week is I had a social worker from Coventry contact me, and she actually said, could I put a box together for a young lady who was 17, and that was an age group I hadn't dealt with at this stage. And so it took some time to put something together. This girl, her mother had committed suicide, and she's been moved from her home by the coast to relatives in the Coventry area, and who don't really want her. And it was heartbreaking when she was telling me. So I managed to source all sorts of things that I thought might be suitable, that just might give her a little bit of just anything, a little bit of a hug. I think for me, my boys, when they lost their father, my boys were 7 and 15, and they were both different. They were of the age groups. They both dealt with things differently.
Yeah.
And for me, I still say the hardest thing in my life I've ever had to do was actually tell my 7-year-old that his daddy wasn't coming home. My husband died abroad, and it was I think what has actually made me do it now, 15 years later, to provide this help to children in particular, is my boys last year, but they hit sort of milestones. My youngest son was 21. He got a fantastic degree at Nottingham University. My older son again has flown, and at the age of 30 became engaged, was due to get married this year, but has a fantastic job. And I felt really fortunate. So what I'm saying is, no matter how dark a situation can feel, at that time when it was me and my 2 young boys, it was, oh my goodness, how are we going to cope? And I think my story shows that you can that dark tunnel at that time, there is that light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm very fortunate. I've got 2 wonderful sons, and they've coped extremely well. And they've just got on with their lives and lived it to the best. That's never, death can also, it can become an excuse as why you don't do things like, and it can be awfully emotional for children. And I'm just really thankful that they are fine. And to me, that is my proudest thing. I think that my boys are fine, and that's what I want to share with people, that they're children and they can be fine. That is a strange one. It was really, and the way life flows, and I think we all change as things happen. Obviously when my husband died, I had to sell our legal practice, and I moved on, and I then did a recruitment. I had a legal recruitment agency providing what we didn't have in place when my husband died for other solicitors. So I sort of changed with times, and then it got to a stage where my mum, who would be my real support, was terminally ill. So I took some time out a little bit, and I've always worked for charities, so I was always doing charity events, and then I got the opportunity to actually take over a ladies networking company, which is what I did, and it was just happened to be one of those meetings that I just had the conversation and just said, well, you know, we all have a story in this room. We all don't get our lives do not go in straight lines, and that's when I told my story, and there were people that looked at me, they'd known me for years, and they'd never actually realised what my background was. And from then I was invited to write my own story, to write a book, to be part of Women of Spirit, and it suddenly became, I started being contacted then by people and saying, can you give us advice and can you help? And I think at that point I realised that possibly my experience at this stage I could probably help, because I've been there and I am where I am now. I'm probably more use to give advice than obviously I was way back. Actually writing it down and talking about it, it was a box I closed at the time. I didn't have time to grieve. I had 2 boys to look after. They were my big concern. I had a house, I had a business, there were other things in place. So I don't think I ever did the grieving process. I turned into somebody else overnight, which you do. And I think writing it down opened those boxes, and actually I think it's given me some release on grief.
Yeah.
So really it was just something that evolved by just as my career was changing, and suddenly I was aware that there was a need for what I now do. I think that is a difficult part. It's letting people know that we're here, and it's great. I mean, with we're trying to get social media, obviously, and radio stations, and actually, I'm due to be in 2 magazines very shortly. There's a lot of publicity, and that is a difficult thing, letting people know we are here, and you know our services are free. We offer, and you know the advice that our professionals give is free. I'm lucky because I have sponsors, which is why we can actually give the memory boxes away. You know, I have some good backing. So Ulster Kelly Solicitors, we have the lovely Corinne Seaborn, who is she is fantastic, and her job is she deals in probate and wills. So she understands, you know, where we're coming from, and she's a very warm person. We then have Anne Corley, who is Jameson Christie Wealth Management, and again, she's a lady I've known a long time, and in fact her company actually helped me a lot at the time when my husband died. So we have a lovely long relationship there. And then we have Lorraine Checklin, and Lorraine is Ways to Flourish, and she's very much about ways to survive emotionally. And she's actually doing some great things at the moment, including mental health first aid courses, all sorts of things, which actually we all need at the moment. I think it is all about our mental health is so important.
Yeah.
So it's called Hidden Strength, and it literally it can be bought via the website, or it can be bought via Amazon. But all the proceeds for that go towards the memory boxes and supplying them. So I'm very proud. Actually, that's me opening up completely in the book, and that's my story completely. So it just is a read that I think will help people when they are at their darkest moment. I've got a few ideas, because obviously next year we're going to have an awful lot of celebrations of life, people that couldn't actually have their funerals, and so I've got lots of ideas how we can actually make things better, hopefully in the coming months, to let people know we're there and we can help in those situations. I need to evolve it. I need to change it, and I need to make it. I think the more I do with it, the more people become aware that I'm here. So I'm hoping with the the new ideas I have, I'm hoping that, you know, it's going to be easier for people to sort of to know I'm here, and that is the main thing. Yeah, you know, I think there is more than ever a need for surviving bereavement at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, Tracy, I could talk to you for ages. It's just so lovely hearing the stories and how you help. So thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you.